That's amazing.
It was a good time.
Oh, the sun is out. That's what you were just talking about. Life's good, man.
This is the first time we've really seen the sun and I don't know what to do.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with a quick story that is completely.
Do the show like this, I think.
I shouldn't say. See, look at you. I shouldn't say completely unrelated, but you know, as a parent, all you can do is keep them alive and try to keep them within the guardrails. Is how I would kind of put that. There's only so much you can do as a parent. So I got a text from my son last Sunday. He was at Toggenburg. And I just want this for his, I'm being completely selfish right now. I'm just telling this story so we have proof of it in 20 years.
For sure.
So I got a text from Taven at the at Toggenburg last Sunday. It's getting ready to come home, like 4:30. And it's a picture of a job application. And I said, "Are you applying for a job?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm thinking about it." I go, "Okay, cool. That sounds great." So little did I know that he had filled it out before he even left Toggenburg Sunday and handed it in to the club manager. I was like, okay. So I'm picking him up from his first JV basketball game last night because they streamed it live, which was actually quite amazing. Like I had his JV basketball game like on my big TV. It was amazing. So he calls me. He goes, "Dad, I'm ready to be picked up." I said, "Sure." He goes, "Oh, by the way, I just got a call from Carter, who's one of the managers at Toggenburg." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I got my first shift Saturday morning, 9 to 4 in the rental shop." I go, "So you went, you filled it out, you got hired, and you start this week?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's incredible." Like, for him, and if you know Taven, it's a little out of character for him to show that level of initiative. So I don't have a point to this story. It's just, hey, man, just big proud dad moment this week. That's all.
Well, big thing, people find out their stuff in their own time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We always joke, my dad's watching right now. People don't believe this. I was the last Sable boy out of all my brothers and cousins to ever have a job. They were worried about my initiative and my work ethic for a long time.
Boy, did you make up for it, right?
I'm saying, so it's weird how those things work out.
So it's those 12:42 a.m. emails that I'm getting from you and John that are making up for it. Is that what you're saying?
A lot of people will tell you that I have more than made up for it and am now teetering on just having real issues. But
that's right. Well, I appreciate you indulging me in that story, and my mother's reminding me that he is only 14 years old as well. So just the earliest possible minute he could make his own cashola, he's making his own cashola. So I guess the parenting hack I would go with that is he can drive the boat this summer because he'll be 15 if he gets his license, but he's got to pay for his own fuel this summer. So that was the trade-off. So hey, whatever it takes for motivation to get people going, right?
100%.
Let's talk about this a little bit, huh?
So making sure I'm keeping my label pointed in the proper direction.
Make sure your label is pointing this way. So I want you to tell the story about this brand a little bit while we're we can do it a little bit while we're tasting it. But so you and I have worked on, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 different brands together. And we're not supposed to have favorites, right? We're not supposed to have favorite clients, and we don't have favorite clients. We love all of our clients, but I don't think I've ever seen you as geeked up about this project. So I'm going to let you talk through it while I open this, but I do want to call out my boy Mike Boyd Jr. for the fresh new set of glasses, the ski glasses, and you don't have to adjust your TV set. That is on the not level. So this was a gift from Mike Boyd because he knows how much the family loves skiing, of a certain deal that we just closed that we can't quite talk about just yet. But so I'm going to be debuting his glass with one of your favorite brands. So talk about this brand and why you think it's so special.
Yeah. So obviously you can't have favorites, but like, I really fucking love this one. And like, it's really two parts. You know, one is selfishly, this is one of the first brands and projects that we have literally been given the keys on.
Yeah.
You know, we've been very fortunate to work with a lot of different clients and a lot of different markets and fill a lot of different roles. This is the first one that quite literally, like down to the naming of the product, we've had creative freedom over.
Yep.
And we'll get to be responsible for not only the initial branding and foundation and skeleton of what it's going to be, but the actual, like, forget telling of the story, creating of the story for what the brand's going to be about. And the success that I think that we're set up to have with them, it's just going to be a lot of fun. And then the second part really is, you know, part of working with so many different clients and so many different industries is you really have to kind of put yourself in their customer shoes and think about, you know, what are, you know, our customers going to really be into for these people? What are they not going to be into? What's the voice? What's the platform and all that? I am quite literally 110% the target demographic for this brand. So everything that we've got to do so far, selfishly as the branding guy, I think is awesome. But then also as an immediate customer, I'm just like, fuck yeah.
Yep. All right, so let's do this. Without further ado, I want you to talk more about this. I'll have about 100 more questions, but let's do this. So this is a sample. This is actually the third sample. This is give a little context. This is a client that Adam and I both work on together up in the New Brunswick / Nova Scotia area. It is an RTD drink. It is a ready to drink cocktail, meaning it is, what did we decide on this? 6.5%, 6.5% ABV. Is that what we decided on? I think that's where we're at 6.5%. This is now the third iteration from one of my flavor houses that we were able to work through. And it sounds funny, like when people ask me what I do and go through it, it's like, oh, you're just sitting around drinking booze all day and doing this. This is really where I put my winemaker's hat on. I was very fortunate to do that for a number of years. You really have to be in tune with your senses, with everything that's going on, even down to the color. Now, this obviously does not have a color. This is clear. This was done on purpose. I will tell you that it is not 100% all natural, juices and flavors and things. And I know some people kind of push back on stuff like that, but you know what? For this particular brand, it works. And I'm gonna ask Adam in a minute why that part of it works. But here's what we do. We open it up, we look at it, everything looks clear, everything looks good. Obviously, the first thing we do, yes, I'm gonna get very nerdy, very geeky with you, but the first thing we do is smell it. We just simply go through it, smell it, and just talk. Just start talking through what you're smelling. So this particular drink it's supposed to be cranberry and lime. This will, once we all kind of approve this as a team, will be the bookend to the first three formulations, the first three SKUs. So I'm going to ask you, what are you smelling? What are you thinking when you smell this?
So right away, that lime hits you.
Yeah.
That lime is stiff, which I think is, it's kind of cool because like, this is my first pass through with this flavor. And it's not what I was expecting at all, but I like it, because kind of, did you say what was in it? I zoned out as I was smelling.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I know you zone out when I talk sometimes. It's cranberry and lime.
Yep. So I think kind of the cool part about that is, David, come here. The cool part about that is the one not concern that I had. Try that. Yeah, that's yours. is that anytime you have you just chug it? So anytime that you see, and this goes into because when people see this, it's not just like even the names of the flavors are not just names of the flavors,
right?
Without giving too much away. So the one thing you look at is like, are people going to think this is just a vodka cran?
Right.
You know, and like I can make that at home. It's 2 ingredients. Why would I pay for a canned cocktail of this? But even just smelling it right off the get and having that lime be so present there, that's exciting because that's going to bring a uniqueness to this that your standard vodka cran isn't going to have.
Yep. All right. Get into it while I talk about this. So what we did on this was the second iteration of this was just actually too limey. It was actually more lime than what you're tasting and what you're smelling right now. So what we did was we backed off on that. The other part of it was we had a very, very strong acid backbone. And again, I'm getting very, very nerdy with people. Basically, all good drinks have to be in balance, right? It's like everything in life. It's work-life balance. It's sweetness, tartness balance. This drink, during its second iteration from our flavor house, had too much acid to it. It was completely out of whack. So what do we talk about when we talk about acid? Usually most people taste sweetness in the front of their palate, then they taste acid in the back of their palate. Like when you squeeze like a lime in your mouth, you get it right in here. You'll get that kind of acid backbone to it. You want enough acid when a drink is balanced well. You want enough acid for it to have a clean finish, so that you don't just keep tasting it all the way down your throat. Because when something gets syrupy, or like in winemaking terms, we'll call that kind of like a flabby wine. If you have a flabby wine that does not have enough acid in the backbone to clean it up here, you're never going to want to go back for another sip.
Yep.
It's going to just sit there and just regurgitate and blah. It just gets nasty. But there's a point where it becomes too much. So the acid in round number 2 was way too much. And we were like, oh, we just kept pushing back on it. But when you reduce acid in a drink, you have to appropriately adjust the sweetness to make sure that those two things came in. So a little background on that. I'm going to taste mine for the first time. What did you think? First impressions?
My first impression, I like it. You know, it's weird. You know, I'm not a huge vodka guy usually. So, you know, a typical vodka can, I wouldn't be about it. I like it, man. It's pretty crisp. It's got that, and as I've learned and been educated from the last round of testing, is that like just the different, not sweetener taste, but you guys told me the proper term for it that I already forgot. But you know, whatever that is that kind of comes with the samples, I get that a little bit, but
I'll tell you right off the bat, this is astronomically much more in balance than the last version. Astronomically. When I first tasted it, and again, that's the hard part. You don't want to overreact as soon as you taste it. But the first thing I tasted was just a mouthful of sugar and lime. I was a little concerned by that. But once I switched it around in my mouth a little bit, let it aerate a little bit on my palate, I was able to let it round out a little bit. So what I'm getting is I'm getting a lot of sweetness up front, which is good, because a lot of people, you know, talk dry. Oh no, I like bone dry wines, but meanwhile they're drinking like Red Cat from, you know, like Hazlitt and stuff like that. People
Right.
talk dry and drink sweet. That's always been kind of one of the things I've lived by. I was going to be too concerned that it was going to be overly sweet and not enough acid, but that rounds out nicely, and I can't taste it anymore. It's been 15, 20 seconds. I can't taste it anymore. It's gone. So what does that mean? That means it's much more in balance than where it was before, and I want to go back and have another sip because it's been cleaned up on the back end.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that the other thing too that, you know, you guys really kind of taught me last time is that you don't want to, when you're, you know, tasting for like, you know, actually getting it dialed in, you don't want to like taste it ice cold. So the fact that it's only like chilled, you know, you kind of catch a lot more of that. So the fact that it's like not that it's not cold, but, you know, closer to room temperature and you're still drinking it, like that's a good sign.
It's a very good sign. When you taste it this time, think about the lime alone. See if you can isolate your palate on just the lime alone. And when you taste the lime this time, what's the first thing you think? Equate it to something else that you've already experienced in your life and try to taste the lime. And when you've tasted that in the past, what's the first thing you taste of when you can isolate the lime flavor?
Like it almost reminds me of like when you have like a cherry Coke.
Mm-hmm.
And like that the cherry's there, but it's not just like a straight up cherry soda.
Mm-hmm.
Which feels right to me.
The first thing I thought of was, you ever had a frozen margarita with salt on the rim?
No, because tequila makes me throw up. But
okay, so for those of you that have ever had a margarita, the lime for me tastes like when you know how they serve them with like a lime wedge right here. So you take the lime wedge off and then you squeeze it and you put it on top of your margarita. So the lime in this reminds me of when you taste that first sip of margarita with it's called the floater on top. When you have that lime floater on top, you get that little lime flavor before you get the rest of it.
Yeah.
I'm tasting that almost verbatim. That is what my mind is telling me. So it's all about, for me, equating your past experience into what you're tasting right now. That's when I say get in tune with your palate or something like that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I tell you what, man, I would go to market with this. I think it is that good.
I mean, I just try to picture, so without giving it away. So like this is a very blue collar, everyday come as you are type brand. Like that's what I think of. Like would I have 5, 6, 7 of these on Saturday in the summer at the lake? And like I would.
Yep.
With this.
Yep. That to me, that was my next question. You already took the words out of my mouth. How many of these would you have at the lake house on a Saturday? Like literally, it's 84 degrees outside. You have nothing to do the next day. You're just bumming around the lake house, getting projects done, sitting on the lake. I can see a lot of these cans getting crushed on my boat. A lot of them. Wow.
Yeah, and it's like the whole, and like this is where it's really fun thinking about how this ties into the branding and into the story, where like Sam Adams tried to do this last summer or 2 summers ago when they came out with the Sam 76.
Mm-hmm.
Where like what was the slogan for that campaign? They put them in cans. Yeah. And it was Sam 76, infinitely crushable.
Yep.
Meaning that you could have 6, 7, 8 of them on a Sunday, which like you're not having 8 Sam Adams. You're not having 8 Sam Summer Ales on a Saturday, but you'd have 7, 8 of those. And I think that's really the vibe that we want with this. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you have that level of crispness where it's not heavy at all, and you want to keep going back for another sip, but at the same time, it isn't, not to shit on other low calorie, low flavor hard seltzers, but it's not one of those where, they put 3 or 4 drops of flavor in there and call it a day. Never mind the fact that it's shitty malt alcohol in there that makes you feel horrendous the next day. But so that's where it's super important to get the product to a point where it fits the story that we're going to tell.
Yep.
So that feels spot on to me.
I'm pumped. I am pumped. I'm sorry that my wife drank your number 2. We didn't get a chance to get down to you, but props to Lauren for making the speedy delivery today.
She's actually sitting right up front and was sampling it with me. Which she has a very in-depth flavor breakdown of what she thinks it tastes like.
What does she think? I want to hear what she says.
It tastes like, the white part of a Rocket Pop?
Yes.
It tastes like that.
Oh, see, that's what I was looking for. Forget his description. That's what I was looking for right there.
I have an ignorant palate, dude. Oh,
well,
cherry Coke.
No, I couldn't figure out what it tasted like, but the lime definitely tastes like that lemon, limey, like white Rocket Pop.
Well done. That is perfect. That is perfect. It's exactly what I was looking for. Something like that.
That's content waiting to happen this summer.
Yep. Lauren, how many of these would you drink on a Saturday?
A lot.
LOL.
That's all that matters. Wow. I was a little concerned that we wouldn't be able to hit it, but obviously we have the boss that needs to sign off on this, but I'm giving my full thumbs up, 2 thumbs up on this one.
I think I'm just the closer with these flavors. Every time they get to my desk, that's when we got our answer,
Cool. No, this is great. This fits beautifully within the brand. This is you're exactly right. The 2 of you are the exact demo we're going after. Just chilling at the lake house, just doing whatever, or quite frankly, sitting around the bonfire at 10:30 at night. I mean, this would be. I mean, 10:30 in the morning, 10:30 at night. Like this is the drink on the weekend. That's amazing.
Yeah, but I think too, like we have such a nice complement with the other flavors too, where what I love about, and not trying to geek out too hard, and obviously I'm about as biased as you could get, but what I love about what we're doing with these guys is there's so much familiarity when you see what's in each of the 3 flavors in the first round, but it's also completely unique. So this, you're going to see vodka, cranberry, and lime, but like in no way, shape, or form is that taste anything like a vodka cran, nor look like it, which is just as important. And I think the same thing is true with the other 2 flavors too, where, particularly the other spirit that I tell everyone that I'm not a fan of, that was my favorite one.
You can say it. You just don't say the name. You can say what it is though.
The gin, cucumber, and lime.
Lauren, what did you and I just say to each other 45 minutes ago?
It was not good. Tasted like pledge.
No. The gin one.
Oh, the gin one I really liked.
Yeah.
And I don't like gin.
Right.
Yep.
Same.
That other one I didn't like.
The first
scrap that.
Yeah.
It was the first one. It was the first version of this, wasn't it?
It was the thing that we scrapped in favor of this.
Oh.
Yeah, that was horrendous.
But it just goes to show you how much work has to go into it to get something from like that to this, or the gin, or the lemonade one that we're doing as well for this brand. It just, you just have to be in tune with this stuff and really try to. That's why I try to make stuff like this relatable. And when I was at the winery, people were like, "Oh, I'm getting notes of this and this, and I'm getting sandalwood, and I'm doing this." It's like, no, bro. Like, do you like it? Yes or no? Like, that's where we start. Yeah. Do you like it? Yes or no? Yes, great. What do you like about it? And you just start down that question tree. Or no, I don't like it because it tastes like freaking lemon pledge. So we need to scrap that part of the project. It's like, remove this whole aura around tasting and stuff, and just be like, are Adam and Lauren going to crush these on Saturday? Yes. Hey, guess what? It's a good business decision to move forward with this because you guys are going to crush this on Saturdays.
A shout out to my main man, Barry Manville at Southbridge Wines and Spirits. Probably right up there with you, one of the smartest wine people that I know. He could go toe to toe with anybody on having real in-depth conversations. And he broke it down to me better than I've ever heard it broken down. He's like, look, there's millions and like ridiculous amounts of wines out there. Ultimately, there's 2 kinds of wine at the end of the day. There's wine that you like, and there's wine that you don't. Everything falls into one of those 2 buckets.
I want to get so geeky. Could you give me his number, please? I want to get so geeky with him and do a show with him. We'll just get, we'll do the reverse order. He'll send up some wines for us to taste through, and we'll get super geeky. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we'll just break it down into those. I love that. I love that way. He and I are going to be bros. I can already feel it.
Yep. And I think too, like and to like really bring all of this full circle, the only reason that we're able to have conversations at this level, and I wish we could have, I don't want to give away names. I wish we could have everybody on this show to talk about this, because we've been so aligned with this client from literally the first second that we knew exactly who we were and what this brand was and what it was about before we took a sip of anything. So that's why like we don't get hung up or paralyzed on, you know, I don't know, like, is that lime perfectly balanced with it? Like, you know, we literally want to get to a point where it tastes good, where we feel good about it, and where that end customer that we've already defined, like from day one, we're like, is that person gonna like this?
Yep.
From our name, from our logo, from our flavors to the actual liquid in the can, we know exactly who we're selling this to.
Well, it goes back to our term that we use all the time: define your North Star. Define your North Star with everything that you're doing. This is the question that I ask all prospective new clients: where's this business in 24 months? And they're like, oh, I've only thought about the next 24 days. All right, cool. Take a couple weeks, think about it, and get back to me. Do you want this to be a side hustle? Do you want this to replace your full-time income? Do you want this to be acquired for 9 figures? Like, where in the spectrum do you fall? If they can answer that question, the next question is, great, who am I selling this to? Am I selling this to Ben and Siobhan? Am I selling this to Adam and Lauren? Am I selling this to Taven? Am I selling this to Pate? Who am I selling this to? Rather than, everybody wants to focus on this. This is the fun part. To me, this is the easy part. This is the fun part. I've launched a lot of brands up to this point. This is one of the last things you should think about, the stuff that goes in the vessel. Because if you don't have all those other things just or goals defined, just like you said, we knew who they were. You know, it's like that football. I forget that football coach's press conference. We knew who they were. You know, it's like we knew who we're going to sell this to. It's Adam and Lauren crushing these on a Saturday at the lake house. That now this has to point towards the customer, not us jamming this down, just spamming it out there and saying, boy, I really hope somebody likes my formulation. It's not how you do this thing. You completely reverse engineer it. You know, it's some of the other artists that I work with. We know that it's kids 14 to 19. Guess what? They all want something that tastes like soda, but they want something that is better for them so that their parents don't mind swiping their credit card for $35 a 6-pack so that they can crush 3 or 4 of those while they're gaming all night long. You know, it's all about knowing that consumer. It's a great point you just made.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really the only point.
Right.
You know, we're really lucky and we get to have a lot of fun with this one because what the end consumer is going to like and what we're going to like is the same thing.
Yep.
But you know, like ultimately, like it's what we tell our clients all the time with varying degrees of openness. You know, as the business owner, your opinion matters very little. Mm-hmm. You know, if we have to choose things that you like or that your customer likes, like if you want to win, you have to understand you're at the bottom of the depth chart. You know, like we from the products to the branding to the platforms that we use. Yep. You know, we had, you know, people tell us like, I don't really see value in LinkedIn. I don't really see value in Instagram stories. That's fine. You know, you can see value in whatever you want to, but like, do your customers see value in it? Spoiler alert. Fuck yeah, they do. All right, then we have to be there, you know? And that's where you just see people get lost. I mean, you know, other projects that we like, I'll say almost worked on together where, you know, we saw the opposite of that. What do we like? You know, what do we want this to taste like? What do we want people like to know about this? Why do we think they should buy it? None of it fucking matters, you know? And I think at the end of, you know, all of this, you're going to see which strategy wins.
And that's why I wanted to do this. And I appreciate you tasting through it live. I put you on the spot a little bit, but I like doing that. This to me is no different than the font that you use on your letterhead. This to me is no different than what platforms you choose for a digital marketing strategy. This to me is no different than the hat and the merch that you pick out for your brand. You know, it's all part of a cohesive strategy. And if one piece is out of whack, the whole house can come down. You know, the minute you put up the post, you know, we're open 9 to 5, here's our specials, you know, that's okay, fine. There's some people will find value in that. but the majority of people will not find value in it. And that's going to be the number one reason they disengage with your brand. If it's not something that they can't find on the website or every other, or look like every other, we'll get through this together. Here's our cleaning protocols. Here's our COVID thing. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. But this, when you pour that for somebody now, that is going to be an infinitely crushable Saturday afternoon. More importantly, fit my lifestyle without creating any friction, because I can have a few of these, not feel like garbage the next morning, and not feel guilty because it fits my lifestyle, which means I have a more cohesive personal connection with your brand because we're having these kind of conversations. That ultimately to me is part of just one strategy. Yes, this is the fun part. This is probably more fun than picking out fonts for your letterhead, but guess what? It's just one part of the strategy. It's all it is.
Yeah. And when you do it right and you have all of those things working in unison, like that's where you have real success and real potential. It's why I'm so hyped on these guys. Because like obviously like the product fits that, but I can't wait till this is just released so we can really talk about it. But like to the verbiage that we're using, to the images that we're using, to how we're literally describing what these flavors are on the website, it just insulates the brand and it insulates the company so much. Because for your people that are a little bit more into the product, great. We've done our due diligence on that and we know that these three are dialed in. People that are more about the brand and the lifestyle and what it represents. And then if the product's fine, like, okay, great. We have that covered too. So, people that are all about, access, if they buy it in a store or have it shipped to their front door, great. We have that covered too. People that are cognizant of, saving money, there may or may not be some loyalty, reward, frequent shopper things coming along the way. So like you have all those boxes checked. So no matter how people look at this or what's important to them, A, we have something for them. B, it's done with the voice and the heartbeat of this and the DNA of this brand in mind. So it just flows.
Yep. And as you were talking, I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? One of us simply could have called Aaron and said, hey, we're going to talk about the brand on our podcast. And you know what he would have said? He would have said, just freaking go for it. Just go for it.
He's ironically texting me right now. But I know what it's about. It's not about this. So I don't want to put him on the spot, but yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, all of this shit has to start from the top. And the only reason that, the reason that we have such little friction is like, obviously A, because it fits us so well, but B, like it fits him too. He is this brand. And it's just real easy to be authentic when that's the case.
I love it. Well, let's do this. Let's do a, after he gets his, what is the word I want to use? After he gets a little bit of protection around a few pieces of IP, let's bring this one back just because it's so easy to talk about this brand. Let's do a deep dive, as much as he's willing to let us do a deep dive on the brand. Let's pull website, let's pull strategy, let's pull labels, let's pull merch. You and I have some work to do on that. And let's pull it all together and just show because it's such a fun brand, because we're so loyal to this brand, because we believe in this brand. You, my friend, I think you're about to have your disco lemonade moment with this one right here, just because of what it is, what it's named, but more importantly, what the feel is around it. So I want everybody, I want all of my clients to win. I want everybody to win, but I want my clients to win, but this one has a chance to really go. It really does.
I agree. And I am very hyped for them. And I'm just also very excited for the case study that this is going to create. we went through it earlier this week where we literally said, if person X lets us run this play, they're going to dominate, you know, and the fact that, you know, we have just about everything put down on paper. Yeah, I keep almost saying things that I shouldn't say, so I'm just trying to be careful. But no, this is what the formula for winning with brands in 2021 looks like.
Yep.
And
yep.
I got empathy for people that understand, that don't understand and think that it's all just fluff that people like me charge extra for, because, you know, you hear what's the heartbeat of your brand. Go fuck yourself. Brands don't have heartbeats, you know. But when you see it and then you start to pay attention, it's like, oh, never mind the fact that when it hits market and then starts selling, then we're gonna be like, oh, you know. So you hit the nail on the head. I haven't been this excited about something in a long time.
I'm going to let it go there. Because if we talk anymore, we're going to get in trouble, but we need to get permission from Aaron, which I'm sure he will give to us, but let's keep it there, man. You know, the fact that I just keep going back to this glass and the fact that I just keep smelling it is just, that's all you need to know right there. That for me, you know, I go back to the winemaking days, and my final point will be, you have to like it yourself, but like you said, it's not about you, you know, and that's the hardest part. Is when I asked you what you're feeling or what you're tasting and things, you know, I want to put you in the mindset to say, put yourself, we talk about this is one of our 5 pillars we talk about all the time. Put yourself in your customer's shoes. It's not about if you like it. It needs to be a well-balanced, well-blended version of what you want to accomplish. But think about, you know, I'm thinking about Jill and Kim and Ange and Siobhan, and I'm thinking about on July 14th, Tuesday night, July 14th at 7:30 at night, when they're having a sunset cocktail cruise, how many cans of this are coming off the boat? Like, that's all you need to know. And as long as you hit that and put yourself in that mindset, all of the other things, reduce friction and grabbing attention where your people already are and communicating in the way that they want to communicate, that's the bottom line. So I just wanted to use this as an example. And you and Lauren and Dave I think Dave absconded with the entire rest of the bottle. I like how you guys got 2 sips and he got the entire rest of the bottle, by the way.
I divided it evenly.
Okay.
Yeah. For scientific purposes, I think I had to have a little bit more in mind, just for R&D reasoning. But yeah.
Can we please turn the video of Dave? You probably didn't see it. It was behind you, just straight crushing the bottle. So can we turn Dave into a GIF, please, of like hashtag weekend vibes? Turn him into a GIF, please.
110%.
Okay, cool. That's all I want out of this episode. Is the Dave GIF.
Done.
All right, that is it. Hopefully that was you know, little inside our world. You know, pulling the curtain back, behind the scenes DVD, as a very smart man once said. So. Thank you for joining us live. A lot of people watching live. Thank you for that. I was so distracted in my wine nerdiness, I didn't get a chance to talk to the chat. Or if you're walking the dog, watching on YouTube or listening on iTunes and Spotify. So 47?
Correct.
I got it right for once?
Yep.
Let's hear it from me. Episode 47 in the books. You will be hearing a lot about this brand very soon. As soon as we get permission, we will talk about it and do a full brand discussion. So appreciate you. Everybody have a great weekend. Cheers.
See you.